This area was one of the deadliest places to be.
Standing right here, we can sort of step into the scene.
This photograph really brings home the horrors of war.
And just imagine living in those circumstances. Well, the Marye family did.
Coming up from the American Battlefield Trust.
We're standing outside of Brompton, which was constructed in 1824 and was home to the Marye family. In fact, it gives the name to Marye's Heights, which is a series of 5 hills on the western side of the city of Fredericksburg, Virginia, made famous in December of 1862. 7 Union assaults will take place in the valley just outside of Marye's Heights. They will come towards where we're standing. It'll be defended by Confederates commanded by Robert E. Lee. In May of 1863, there's a second battle here where the Federals will take these heights. In May of 1864, this was a hospital for that Federal Ninth Corps during the Overland Campaign. Grant versus Lee for the first time, going from the Wilderness to Spotsylvania Courthouse, which will produce more than 60,000 casualties between those 2 battles.
And luckily for us today, 4 different photographic firms are following the Union Army as they move southward. And some of the photos we'll talk about today have photos taken right here at Brompton. Standing right here, we can sort of step into the scene. You can see some of the damage on the Brompton House. You might be able to catch some wounded off in the far right distance. You might be able to see some of the people who are involved in doing good for the Union Army at this point. It's a fascinating way to be able to stand and step into it and understand the scene a little bit better.
It was a headquarters, a hospital, but it also was a refuge sometimes for Confederates. Specifically during the Second Battle of Fredericksburg, the Union Army will break through the Confederate lines in this area, and Confederates will try to hide behind anything they can, and you'll notice that we have pock marks here. These are bullet impact marks, not only from the Second Battle of Fredericksburg, but also from the First Battle. This area was one of the deadliest places to be for the Confederates. And you can see by this witness of war just what that exposure would mean.
We've now moved across some of the face of Brompton, and you can see you're looking at a different structure now compared to the photos we've been showing you. That is the 1884 Brompton you're looking at now. You can see changes to the portico and otherwise. But even the photographs from the Civil War give an inaccurate representation. By the time they were taken, Brompton had already been a hospital for at least 10 days, with all the wounded coming in from the Wilderness starting around May 7th or so. So you're already seeing a changed scene. You're seeing soldiers in different pictures, in different orientations on the porch. You see earthworks right here on the front lawn. If you were to go inside, you'd see blood-stained floors, and you can just see the damage to the front of the house with the shutters all, battered and beat. And just imagine living in those circumstances. Well, the Marye family did.
This tree is a witness to war, what we call a witness tree, a tree that was here in 1862, 63, and more specifically in May of 1864 when this photograph was captured. This is a photograph of wounded Union soldiers who had participated in either the Battle of the Wilderness or the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse, which took place about 17 miles away from where we are standing. Those men were wounded, brought back to Brompton and treated. And you can see out here on the lawn of Brompton and underneath the shade of this witness tree what these men have just endured. One man is laying on a stretcher. His right foot has been amputated. You can see another man sitting up, staring back at the camera, who has just lost his right arm. Beside him, you might make out a wooden box, which is potentially the head or the foot of a casket. Then, of course, we most likely have their attending surgeon who's standing there. The man with the stripe down his leg, the hat and the vest, kind of looking important off to the side, while another man sits under the tree, most likely in a chair taken from Brompton. And then in the background, you can see a man on crutches, kind of making his way across the crest of the hill near some earthworks that are back there today. You might not make those out in the picture, but they are there today. That man is in what we would consider his Civil War era underwear, underdrawers that are standing out in that whiteness of this black and white photograph. This photograph really brings home the horrors of war. You can see it on the faces of these men. They have an uphill battle as they have to head home, losing a foot, losing an arm, wounded in other ways, and of course, wounded psychologically on these battlefields around Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, the wilderness, and beyond.
We can't even show you all of the photos that were taken up here. There were just so many of them. There's one I'll note that is taken from that direction, looking past the witness tree and actually showing Brompton. And it actually shows a photographic developing outfit in the meantime, sort of midway through. There are a couple other ones whose locations we haven't pinpointed, but we know they're taken up here. One that shows Native Americans of a Michigan sharpshooters company who are being treated up here. But one that I can show you is actually taken right here, and it's showing the side of Brompton. You see the photographer recorded one toward the witness tree, the now witness tree, and one looking this way. And in this particular photo, you can see the damage to the north face of Brompton, the blown out windows and damage otherwise. You can see a pile of stone or brick off on the right side. You can see a guy standing with his arm in a sling, hopefully not too bad of a wound. And then you see more wounded splayed out, having seen some of the horrors that Kris just mentioned. Some of these soldiers, this might be their whole Civil War experience. Some of the Ninth Corps soldiers had just joined the Army before the Battle of the Wilderness. Others had been in the Army for a lot longer at this point. But we can look at this photo and try to understand a little bit about what they went through and try to speculate a little bit about what they're going to go through. And I would encourage everybody watching to look at these photos yourself. And when you're on battlefields and when you're at a Civil War hospital, even if there's no photos taken there, imagine this scene. How many hundreds and thousands of times did it play out across America's battlefields and across the thousands of hospitals of the Civil War? And then you can start to empathize with the people of the past and understand our American history a little bit better.
Get inspired at battlefields.org.